Check, check, check. No checks, cash only. Hello, hello. Checking audio. Check, check, check. No checks, cash only. Hello, hello. Checking audio. Check, check, check. No checks, cash only. Echo, echo. 5 by 5. Thanks, Aaron. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the hot and steamy and muggy live stream tonight. Coming to you direct from Northwest Arkansas in the heart of the Ozarks. It's nice here, but my gosh, it's hot. Oh, it's still 92 degrees outside, and I think the last time I looked, the humidity was about 68%. Yeah. So it's nice and warm. Hello, Eddie Lee. Great to have you in. John, super to have you on as well. The Hope Bus. You guys are so kind. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really do. I just can't say thanks enough. It comes from the heart. I do appreciate your support for sure. Got a pretty interesting couple questions that have come in tonight. We'll get to that in just a minute. Like I normally do, I usually drag my feet for a minute or three to kind of let folks get in and get settled. Hopefully you have AC. Thankfully I do. Dad's doing fine. For those of you that are used to being on the stream, you know I'm here in Arkansas, which is not my normal location, because my dad fell and broke his hip. And it'll be, well, it's 6 weeks today, as a matter of fact, that I've been here. And I have to admit I'm a bit homesick, but this is sort of home, kind of. Excuse me. Although I've never lived here before, for more than a month at a time. I would usually, when I was living full time in my RV, I would usually come in the spring. I'd usually leave Tucson, sometime around first or second week of April, and come out here and spend 4 to 6 weeks mooch docking, parked out here on the curb, and then that way I could spend time with my mom and dad until my mom passed, and then just with my dad. So he's doing well. Still don't know when he's coming home yet, but he's doing well. He's able to get himself up and around uh, with a walker and that kind of stuff. So I think he's going to be, he's getting his mobility back a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll ever be the same as it was, but I guess we're all getting older. Um, the funny thing about it is, um, we were chatting the other day, and he kept saying how he didn't want to be a burden on me and that sort of stuff. And I just had to tell him that's what families are for, right? I mean, that's the whole meaning of a family, as far as I'm concerned, is that you look out for your family. So with that being said, uh, we did get a good question in. You might remember from last week's live stream that a gentleman was in named Peter Winter, and he did contact me via email and sent me some really good questions. And so we're going to go ahead and chat and talk through those. I don't know if Peter will make it in for the live stream tonight, but I mentioned to him that we would be chatting about his questions. And then, of course, you can always pick it up on the replay. The live streams stay on my channel, and so you can find them in the playlist 2021. Um, that was pretty clever the way I named that, wasn't it? So let's check in on the comments here real quick. Yeah, Steamy Eddie for sure. Around Town Scooter from Columbus, Ohio. Awesome to have you in. Yeah, like Aaron mentioned, do appreciate those likes. Helps get the video ranked up a little bit, and more people get to see it. Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, he seems to be doing fine. Michigan Dave's in. That's awesome. Brenda Jankowski First time here live. Great, Brenda. We're so happy to have you in. Where are you watching from tonight? Always curious to know where folks are watching from. Occasionally we get some viewers from, well, we get a lot from Canada, and then occasionally from the UK. I get a lot of, I guess it's the middle of the night in Australia, but I get comments oftentimes from a couple of folks down in Australia, so it's awesome to have you in. I also have a very good friend of mine that I went to college, undergrad and grad school with, who's down there just south of Brisbane. And one of these days, I'm going to get to go see him. In 2000, when he first moved down there, he was in New Zealand. He's a water quality guy. And so I actually got to go to New Zealand for a month. And man, that was an amazing place. There's a lot of oh my God factor there. Every time you turn a corner, it's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I never seen a tree fern that was 35 feet tall till I went to New Zealand. So, Western New York. Great, Brenda. Love New York. Oh, we got Tim Myers in from Dayton. Chuck C is in as well. Hi, Chuck. And yeah, like Aaron mentioned, if you see someone on here, you might check out their channel if they have one. Subscribe to them and share the love. Okay, so we've kind of diddled around here a little bit. Let me jump over here to Peter's email. Just a moment here while I dig it back up. And oh, we've got a question that came in here. Just one moment. I'm getting there. I thought I had it, but with this new laptop that I'm running on, it's not set up, and I didn't. I decided I wasn't going to buy another copy of Microsoft Office or 365 or whatever the heck they're calling it now. I run Microsoft Office on my normal machine that I use for streaming, and I do my video editing and that sort of stuff on it. And so anyway, pardon me. Okay, so you might remember if you're our regular viewer. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions RV related, well, any questions of any kind, but RV related, drop them over in the chat window and I'll answer them as I get a chance. But I got a great email from Peter, and so he writes, Peter, this is Peter. Thank you for your great videos and information about RV repair. Well, I'm happy to do that for you. He says he just started this journey 2 months ago, and he's very new. That's fine. That's exactly what this channel is for. It's good for new people and for, you know, old crusty guys like me and Aaron and some of the other guys that come in. But he bought a 2002 Mini Winnie, and he's remodeling it. He did mention that. But he also mentioned that the refrigerator was stolen. Who would steal a fridge out of a RV? That just blows me away. But okay, it happened. Humanity never ceases to disappoint me. And he'd like to replace it with a regular residential one. And he's watching videos and asking people, you know, how to do it right. And he didn't find a right answer. And he says, I think the problem is with me. And that's kind of, you know, I totally understand that. And it's not a problem. There are no, this is a safe zone. You can ask any question here and not be worried that you're going to get ridiculed, because there are no stupid questions. But he wants to install a residential fridge, and somebody apparently has told him that he needs at least 3,000 to 4,000 watts of inverter power. That you don't, flat out, do not need that much power. Not in a Mini Winnie. You're not going to ever need that much power in an RV that small. The fact of the matter is, today's residential fridges are very efficient. They don't use a lot of power. Now, I did put a residential fridge in my Newmar Dutch Star in 2017 because I got tired of the never cold, never being cold. And I've watched it work quite a lot. In fact, I put one of those kilowatt meters on it. You know, it's one of those things you plug in, and so you can see how many watts it's using. The thing about it is that when the fridge first turns on, that motor, and I've talked about this on live streams before, but when you first start an electric motor, there's what they call inrush current, and it takes a lot of juice, a lot of current to get that motor turning. Once it gets to turning, then it settles down and it uses very little bit of power. So there are things you can do. I've not heard of this being done with the residential fridge, and I don't think you would need to do it. It's common with ACs to put in what they call soft starts. But my residential fridge would pull about 130 or 40 watts when it was running, and it would peak up to about 350 watts when it first started up. Now, when it starts up, it's just for a very short amount of time that it takes that much power to get it going. We're talking milliseconds, 20, 30, 40 milliseconds, which is, not a lot of time. And then once it gets going, it's pretty efficient. So the first thing I will say is that his question is, okay, so they said that he needed at least 3 to 4,000 watts of 12 volt to 110 inverted AC power. And you don't need that much, okay? You need, in a mini Winnie, I would think 2,000 watts would be plenty. And you want to make sure you get an inverter charger. An inverter charger not only inverts 12 volts to 110, but has a built-in charger, so it will charge your coach batteries, so it will charge your house batteries, excuse me. Okay, let me get my terms right here. So it'll charge your house batteries. And then a couple of batteries, 12 volt deep cycle, should get you at least a day's worth of runtime on a fridge like that. No problems. Okay, so hopefully, Peter, that's getting you started in the right direction. The second thing is I'll mention that I did put a residential in mine, and there is a video on my channel. In fact, there's a series of 3 videos. And the other fact is they were the very first videos I did on RV how-to, where I installed the fridge in my Dutch Star. I've had it on my list to go back and now re-edit those because they're 4 years old. The production quality doesn't quite meet my personal standard. They're not slick and trick like some of my more recent videos are. Because I was new to editing and those sorts of things. But I sort of left them up there for legacy. I like to go back and watch some of my older videos and kind of chuckle about how bad they were compared to some of my newer videos. But I leave them up. It is what it is. So that was the first thing that I wanted to mention to Peter. His next suggestion or an idea is to buy a 12 volt refrigerator or a residential one to replace the compressor with a 12 volt compressor. And no, don't do that. Do not replace the compressor on a residential fridge with a 12 volt. Buy a dedicated built 12 volt fridge. I did and will reach out to Randy Waller, who's a regular viewer, who just put a 12 volt in his rig. I meant to do that and I forgot. I've got a few things on my plate right now, but I am going to go ahead and make myself a note of that so I don't forget. Okay, so that way I won't forget to run that down with Randy, and then I'll let you know, Peter, in an email response, what that 12 volt was that Randy did. The thing of it is that if you were to convert your residential fridge with a 12 volt compressor, you're still going to need 110 power because the smarts, the electronics of the fridge are all going to be run by 110. So you're really not saving yourself anything by replacing the compressor in a fridge that's a residential that's designed to run on 110 or 240 if that happens to be the voltage of the power in the country you're watching from. It doesn't make sense because you're still going to need the 110 power. Plus, you're going to want the 110 power for convenience outlets, for a microwave, to watch a TV. And they do make 12 volt TVs that are more efficient. So I think that's the second point that I wanted to make for you. He says he has a couple of solar panels and 2 batteries. And that should be pretty good. Okay? That should get you there for a while and be fairly inexpensive. Now you can go a little bit more high tech and go lithium. And the lithium batteries, the 12 volt lithium battery is going to probably run you anywhere from $600 to $900 a piece. There's lots of benefits to having lithium that we'll talk about in another video. Okay. And then his third suggestion is to buy the propane fridge, what they call the dual fuels, like most RVs have, a dual fuel fridge. So they usually will either run 110 or they'll run on propane. And typically they'll run propane when you're driving down the road. That keeps your fridge cool. And they'll run 110 if you're plugged in at the RV park somewhere and you have, or you have voltage. You have city voltage, utility voltage. That's the word I'm looking for. Um, so I hope that helps, Peter. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions that you might have. I will respond to your email with a detailed response, but I just thought that would be a good sort of quick review that we could chat about some of the assumptions that go into replacing your fridge with a residential. Now, I love my residential fridge in my RV. I just love it because first off, I got an ice maker, which I didn't have before. I got so much more capacity. The Norcold 1200 that I had was, they call it the four door. But my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you how much more convenient it was to have that. I didn't get one with water in the door, although now I've noticed that I was looking the other day at something else, and that one popped up where you can even get it with water in the door. And I was able to plumb water to the fridge really easy. I just tapped into a water line that was already running underneath my fridge that went to the faucet. So that made it really easy to hook up the ice maker. I'm pretty sure by now, and haven't been watching the comments, but we'll go back to the comments here and start looking at your questions in just a bit. That Aaron has probably posted a link to the RV my fridge replacement videos. So Peter, I think your questions were awesome. I hope I helped you out a little bit. If you have other questions or there's things you still don't understand, feel free to ask. Like I say, this is a safe space. There are no dumb questions. So let me run over here real quick and just check a few things. Excellent connection speed. Looks like everything's good. Okay, so let's go back and see. Yep, Tim from Dayton, Ohio is in the house. Hi, Tim. Brenda was out there in Western New York. Tom Downey, welcome, Tom, from Oak Harbor, Washington. Yeah, I think Aaron was, oh, yeah, he says that. He was stationed there for 15 years. Tom Downey of POA fame. KWoo 10. Oh, KWoo asked me a question earlier, and we'll answer that. KWoo sent me, I think he made a comment on one of my videos, probably one of the, Ask Me Anything videos, and about the weight limits on slides. And yes, there are weight or capacity limits on your slide. It's going to depend on how long the slide is, how far it slides out, those sorts of things. But you're going to want to check with your owner's manual to find out what it is. It would be rare to overload the slide. And the slides, provided they're engineered correctly, I know that in some of the bigger Class A's, that have 4 slides, that the whole kitchen is in a slide. So that includes the fridge and all that is all in a slide. And so the slides can move quite a bit of weight in and out. But yeah, I think it'd be hard unless you're carrying lead bricks or, putting lead acid batteries in your slide or something like that. They're going to be pretty heavy. I think you're going to be hard pressed to overload the slide as far as its ability for the motor to move it in and out. But I'm not saying it couldn't happen. But to find out exactly what that capacity is, I'd recommend you check out your owner's manual, KWoo. Okay, Chuck C has a question. What's the best to reseal a fiberglass Winnebago roof and by resealing the entire roof void the warranty? If your rig is still under warranty, unless you have a leak, well, first off, let's say if it's still under warranty and you have a leak, take it back to your, whoever you get your warranty work done by and get it fixed. If it's not under warranty, then I highly recommend Henry's Tropicool or Henry's Bright Tech. Those are the easiest to apply. They last the longest. They're both built to reflect light off the roof, which will help keep your RV cool. They're easy to apply. And so those are the ones that I recommend. There are others out there, and it's Fords and Chevys, everybody has an opinion and they're entitled to it. But I like the Henrys. I've used it before. I used it on a friend of mine's fifth wheel that we resealed his roof with it. This has been a number of years ago now, 6 or 7, and it's still going strong. He hasn't had any trouble with it at all, and he had a small leak that was causing some trouble. It was leaking down into a closet, but we resealed that roof with the Henrys Tropical, and it's been solid. And it was a fiberglass roof, by the way. So I wouldn't have any problems recommending the Henrys Tropical. They're 100% silicone, and that's a good thing because they stay flexible. So if you're using like the roof sealers, like they might use on on a home, they don't have to be as flexible. But an RV, when it moves down the road, it's flexing and moving and twisting and turning. And if that roof sealer isn't flexible, then it can crack and create a leak. So I would recommend the Henrys. Oh, yep. So there you go, Aaron. I just got down to Aaron's comment where he posted the link to the part 1 of 3 of replacing the Norcold with the Samsung RF18. Uh, so Tim and Tom, what is POA? Am I missing something here? Tim Meyer says there is a company in Shishinawa, Indiana, that replaces the ammonia back with a 12-volt DC back that gets good reviews. Yeah, what is the name of that company? I know which one you're talking about. I've actually watched videos on that. And the truth be told, my Norcold, I actually put what most people call the Amish kit. And it happens that the company I got mine from was in Conway, Arkansas, right down there off of I-40, and they're about maybe 80, 90 miles from my mom and dad's house here in the Ozarks. I try to keep a little bit of locational security going, so I haven't mentioned the town, but it wouldn't take a rocket scientist really to figure out where I'm at. But I actually replaced that myself, and it was the ammonia style. The disappointment is it had a lifetime warranty, and it lasted about 3 years. And then, of course, when I called back, they weren't going to. They were really kind of shaky about standing behind their warranty, so I wouldn't recommend that. But there are 2 different companies that I know of. I can't think of the name of it. I'm familiar with the 12-volt one because I think, the young kids that, oh, geez, it was another YouTube channel I watch, uh, and there's channels escaping me, but I think they had that done on their fridge, and I think I watched a video here probably in the last year about the place up in Indiana that does the 12-volt conversions as well. And yes, they do get good reviews, Tim. JC Refrigeration. Yep, thank you. Yep, thank you very much, E Square. That's basically almost in your backyard. John asks, does anyone make a setup to automatically start your generator when your RV batteries get low and shut off when they are charged? Absolutely. First place I would check is who is the manufacturer of your inverter, because oftentimes your inverter manufacturer will have what they call automatic generator start plug-in or an additional module that you can add onto your inverter. Okay, and of course it monitors your battery levels, and when they reach whatever you have it set to, 12 volts, 12.2, whatever it is, then yes, it'll automatically start your generator. I know that Xantrex has one. Um, come on, Victron has one as well, and that a lot of newer Class A's already come with it built in. But yes, you can absolutely get one of those. They're relatively easy to install, and yeah, they're very effective until they start at 3 in the morning because your batteries run low and all your neighbors hate you because your generator's running. Oh yeah, so Tim says yeah they've that he's seen that company JC Refrigeration, and it's on his wish list. E Square is says it's on his wish list. Hello, Timothy Norman. It's awesome to have you in the live stream tonight. So happy to have you here. While I'm thinking about it, before we go on, if you like this video, be sure and give me that thumbs up. Those are always greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed, be sure and subscribe. Ring the notification bell so you're notified when new videos go up. I promise to have lots more RV content coming just as soon as I can get home and get started back to editing. I did bring, a portable hard drive with me with some content on it, but I was kind of in a hurry and I didn't get the right folders. So I don't have a lot of my RV content on there. I have a little bit of my home improvement content, and I've been kind of working on some of those videos a little bit, but I've had my hands full here. I've been painting my dad's house, kind of getting it ready for, well, probably to sell it, to be honest with you. Oh, so Tom Downey, yeah, he asked some questions last week on his Victron gear, and he says he completely reset the Victron stuff. It did the same thing. It still works. Oh, Pilots of America. Thanks, Tim. Um, okay, so have you tried contacting Victron? They are great. They have amazing customer support. And so I would call Victron and see if they can help you sort that problem out. I think the problem, if memory serves me, Tom was having a problem with the Bluetooth communications dropping off on a couple pieces of his gear and not reporting back to his equipment. And so I would definitely give Victron a call. They have amazing support. They'll walk you through it on the phone. Uh, they'll they'll help you figure out what your problem is, and I would highly recommend that. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Yes, Kwoo. My suggestion there is to go to the website irv2.com. Go to the look for the owners forums. It's up at the top. Find the manufacturer of your rig, whether it be a travel trailer or whatever RV you have, and go into the forum for your model of trailer, and you're bound to find somebody that already has it posted up there, or they'll send you a link or get you to a link that you can go find it. Um, do not go and search for it and pay for your owner's manual. There are a lot of companies out there that have figured out that they can scan and find these PDFs, and then they pay to get ranked up in the search rankings when you search it on Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever your favorite search engine is. And it's a total ripoff. You should never have to buy your owner's manual. I would go to that irv2.com, the owner's forum for your make and model of your trailer or RV, whatever it is, and ask if anybody has the owner's manual. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts that somebody will either have it scanned and have it in a place where you can pick it up. And so that's the way I would do that. And the other question is, how long is your slide? If you can answer that, KU, I might be able to give you a rough idea about how much weight it'll handle. Thank you, Aaron. Yep. Okay, yes. Slides do have the ability to be retracted manually. Okay. Um, Again, you would have to refer to your owner's manual. In some cases, like I remember, this had been a couple, maybe 3 years ago, and I was in Taylorville, Illinois. I had some friends of mine, some friends that were there. He worked for Norfolk Southern, and they have a big yard and shop up in Springfield, Illinois. And so I was there visiting them. And the guy that was parked next to me, his slide motor quit working. And so what we ended up doing with it is, of course, we got online, we Googled it, found a solution, which was we detached there was a couple of nuts and lock nuts that we had to detach. And then we just got a couple of other guys and we just shoved it in. We just pushed it in manually. And that was how we got his slide in. So yeah, you can do it. In my particular RV, there is a nut that you can turn with a socket that will run it manually and suck it in. And I've never had to do that. When I did replace the floor with the bamboo flooring, I did have to turn up the motor a little bit. And on slide controllers, oftentimes there's going to be an adjustment for how much torque, how much strength is on that motor to help pull it in and out. And I had to turn mine up just ever so slightly so it would climb the hill, it would climb the seam that I had put in there. It was slightly taller than the carpet, but I got that worked out. It was easy to do, and we just Googled it and found the answer. So yeah, it's a pain in the butt for sure if that slide doesn't operate. But we had a gentleman in, I guess it must have been about a month and a half or 2 months ago, that was having trouble finding a slide motor. And within 10 minutes, we had the motor for him, and he checked back in the next week, said he got it, it was replaced, and everything was fine. And in fact, one of my favorite channels, who is also on a very similar journey to mine, Pippi Peterson, if you haven't watched her channel, she's as cute as a bug in a rug. And she full-time RV'd for, I don't know, it must have been 4 years or something like that. And she has a video on replacing the slide motor in her fifth wheel. Um, okay, so Kwu responds back here. He says, thanks, not sure what's the size. How long is it? He says, they replaced the couch in the RV and the fuse blew twice. Yeah, that's a good one. Has it blown again, or just did it just blow the blow? Did it just blow twice? There's not a lot of maintenance you have to do to those RV slides. I know in mine it specifically says do not oil or grease the gear on it. There are some slides that you should oil with some, your favorite dry lube, WD-40 or whatever it might be. CRC silicone would be just fine. Anything like that. But it's going to be specific to it. That would be the first thing I would do is check and make sure that you can, if there's roller bearings or sliding surfaces or anything like that, that you lube those up really well, Kwu. Uh, and um, and I'm assuming the couch was about the same size as the couch that was in it. Um, so, I suppose you could be kind of right on the edge, but is the fuse continuing? Okay, so he says, jump ahead. I'll get back to you, Timothy. Oh, it was Timothy who had needed help finding the slide motor for his 2004 Georgie boy. It's blown it twice so far, and then Kwu says when we replace the fuse, it works like a charm. Um, okay, yeah. So I would check on the lubrication. I would check on lubricating that. So when you pick up a copy of your owner's manual over on IRV2, look for the slide maintenance, and I would do your slide maintenance. Make sure that if there's any kind of rolling bearings or sliding surfaces or anything like that, that you maintain it per the owner's manufacturer's recommendations. And it could be they're just dry, and there's a little extra friction there, which is causing it to come in slow, overloading the motor and blowing it up, or blowing your fuse. Typically, though, those motors have protection circuits built in, so you don't blow fuses. Usually, the motor will, shut itself off before it burns up anything badly. So, but yeah, I would double check on that and check on the maintenance, make sure all the sliding surfaces and any kind of roller bearings or anything else like that have been lubed properly. Tom Downey comes back and says the link to the Victron is intermittent dongle. I don't know how to spell dongle either. Don't worry about it, Tom. KK Woo, great. Yep. Check that out and let us know what you find out, please. I'll add that to my personal database of knowledge. So if you're new to the channel, I do these streams on Tuesday nights to give folks an opportunity to ask any question that's related to RV. Well, any question, but RV related questions, of course, you're probably going to get a more serious answer. And but I'll answer any question, sometimes with a straight face and sometimes not. But um, so if you have a question, be sure and drop it over in the chat window. Let us know where you're watching from tonight. Please drop us a comment over in the chat window. Let us know where you're watching from. That's always helpful. I'd like to invite you to visit my website at trbolin.com. Poke around over there. I took a bunch of really cool macro photos today, and I'm planning on posting those up here probably tomorrow if I get a few minutes of free time. I a bunch of butterflies in the area here, so I was out chasing butterflies today and taking macro photos of them. I got a pretty good one of a fritillaria and a couple others. So anyway, check out my website. Appreciate that. And then, of course, you can support the channel and my efforts on Amazon. There's a link in the description below. As an Amazon affiliate, I'll remind you that I get a very small commission, but you pay the exact same price, and every little bit helps. You know, it does cost a fair amount of money to run a YouTube channel. You know, the editing software that I happen to use now, I'm using other portions of the Adobe suite for other things, right? Besides just the video editing, because I do some graphics work for some, you know, for things like that. But that's around $60 a month. And then, of course, there's your internet connectivity. There's another 60 to 70. And by the time you sit down and figure it up, you know, I don't make a lot of money on YouTube. And I don't do it for the money. I'll be really honest with you. You know, the super chat are you know very greatly appreciated. But it's not about the money. I'm just here to share my knowledge with new and experienced RVers and hopefully bring a community together, and so we can help you out and you can learn from us and save yourself a bunch of time and money. Going to an RV repair shop where you have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get in because there's just not a lot of them, and spend thousands of dollars to get something done you can do for yourself. For example, like when I replaced my roof, you know, I was getting bids anywhere from $6,500 to $9,000, and all in parts, materials, and everything, I was under $1,000 for everything on my roof. And then, of course, it took me 5 or 6 days, 7 days, something like that, to do it. I did it myself, but I just was thinking, you know, how much money did I save by doing that myself? Bob Cross asks, could the alignment of a slide out cause a fuse to blow? Absolutely. And in fact, I did have to adjust my slide. This had been a couple years ago because it wasn't coming in. I don't know why it slipped. You know, I mean, I used, you know, run my slides in and out the same way every time, but it slipped. And so when it came in, when it came in and I was getting ready to leave one day, you know, the one side came in perfectly flush, and that's one of the things about the Dutch Stars is that they have the flush slide. So there's nothing that hangs off this, you know, there's no lip or seam. It sits flush with the face of the rest of the RV. And I had to make a small adjustment there, but that was simple enough to do. And I was able to do that myself as well. So absolutely, the alignment of the slide could be causing a fuse to blow for sure. The Hope Bus is watching from Niagara on Lake Canada. Awesome. I've never been to Niagara Falls. It's been a place that I've been wanting to go for a long time, but I haven't been up there. Oh, and then we have Bob cross in from Schenectady, New York. You'd have to live there a long time to learn how to spell Schenectady. Thanks for watching, Bob. I appreciate you being in tonight. Tom, I didn't notice that. You know, there was a huge hullabaloo last year when when they got bought by Winnebago, I guess. Um, yeah, it was Winnebago that bought Newmar. And I'm in, you know, obviously in Newmar Decade of Excellence Facebook group and the Newmar owners, and I watch a couple of other Newmar forums. And yeah, there's been a lot more complaining about Newmar's customer service now that it's owned by Winnebago. But yeah, I don't know if they won't answer a question anymore. I don't have that personal experience. Um, but and you know the funny thing of it is even though I have a 20 almost 20-year-old Newmar, they were every time I would call for support or parts or whatever, they were more than helpful. Sometimes you would have to leave a voicemail and they would call you back. but I've not ever had an example of, and I'm trying to think here. Um, I've heard some grumbling from people about contacting Newmar for support, but I haven't seen anybody say they have not had a question answered. And of course, that's not, you know, I don't watch all of them, but the ones that I watch, I don't recall seeing anybody have a complaint about that. Oh, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, Thor bought Newmar. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was Thor or Winnebago, but I know they got bought by a much bigger company. Drift Fox, hello, welcome to the channel. Any advice or videos on making your own and installing the Genie lamp on a workhorse chassis auto park system? N- Yeah, I don't have firsthand reference to that. I've not seen videos about that. That doesn't mean they don't exist. I'm assuming you've done a YouTube search for that, installing a Genie lamp on a workhorse chassis. Um, yeah, I don't have any advice at this point, but I will do some research for you offline. Make myself a note here, and I'll see if I can help you run something down on that. Mick the dog. Hi, Mick. Great to have you in. Uh, he says, my air conditioner stopped working last night. Watched your video and have my capacitor being delivered tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Yeah, that's probably what it is. That's probably the most common problem that you'll run into with your ACs is either your motor start or your run capacitors will fail. And like in the video that you saw on my channel, mine actually blew right up. So um, yeah, I think you're probably going to be just fine. Let us know how that turns out for you, Mick, please. Oh, Tom says parts not a problem. Okay, so it's getting technical support. Um, You know, a friend of mine I was chatting with on the phone the other day says there's a company he calls pretty regularly, and every time he calls, he gets the message, due to high call volume, blah, 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 blah. We're busy and, it may take a while for your call to get answered. And he says, after 6 months, don't you think if they're still having high call volume, they should hire some more people? I think that was a good point. I think he made a good point. Made me laugh anyway. Hey, hey, man. Yeah, Mick. Most parts are contracted out. Yeah, Tom, Newmar does maintain a stock of parts. And the other thing, is that the International Rally, the Newmar International Rally just wrapped up out in West Virginia. And Newmar takes their entire service department. Every technician goes to the International Rally and they go around and they work on people's coaches while they're at the International Rally. And I think I read in a post from the Newmar Full Timers group, there were 51 technicians from Newmar that were at the International Rally last week over in West Virginia. And yeah, so they're still doing that part of it. And they also put up a pop-up parts department while they're at the International Rally because I remember when I went in Pueblo several years ago, I went in and I bought quite a few parts. I got an extra key. I got a couple extra keys for my storage doors. I got, a couple of lenses, lamp lenses, and some things like that that I needed to replace that were all faded and, looking pretty nasty. And they had all of that right there. So they just wrapped up out there. I don't know if they have their customer service people go out. I imagine there's a few of them, but yeah, I'm not sure what you know not sure what to think about Newmar as far as not answering support questions. That to me seems weird. But like I say, I haven't called for support for so long. I don't think I'm authoritative in that area anymore. Oh yeah, Mick. Well, if you could smell it, if you let the magic blue smoke out, it's done. it's time to replace it. And as you saw in the video, there it's actually really simple to replace those capacitors. Just make sure you got the power turned off and that you short the capacitors before you go to messing around in there. Oh, Aaron. We have another Aaron, an Aaron. Just finished the Geo Method video, helped me a ton. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Aaron, and I welcome you to the live chat. Any questions you might have, be sure and ask them. I will mention that in that video, I used Boraxo interchangeably with Borax. I really meant Borax. The second thing is that some places it's hard to find the Borax or the Borax laundry uh, uh, additive. Okay, the 20 Mule Team Borax. I have noticed that Walmart carries it, Home Depot carries it, and but I have had reports that you can't get it. The OxyClean works just fine. And then Aaron Jemison, who is the moderator on the live streams, he uses Calgon, but I think he mentioned he switched over to 20 Mule Team. But the Calgon water softener works as well. So those are three options as far as the tank treatments. And then you don't have to use any other treatments. And I get that question a lot. I bet I had that question 4 or 5 times last week. You know, first question usually is can I use the borax with my normal tank treatment, whether it be the TST, the tablets, whatever you might be using, Happy Camper? Yes, you can use borax with the Happy Camper, with the TST, any of those. But I think you'll find that if you're using the borax and Dawn combination, you won't need those, and it's very inexpensive. I did some calculations a while back, and it was less than $1 per tank to treat with the borax and the Dawn. Oh, yeah, well, if you hit a bear, you got a problem. Chuck C asks, will installing a soft start on an AC unit void the manufacturer's warranty? Yes, it may very well do that. And so but the manufacturer's warranty on those ACs, I think the Medic is 12 months, is a year. So if your AC is more than a year or two old, I don't know that I'd worry a whole lot about voiding the warranty. And the second thing is that those soft starts are plug and play. You don't have to do a lot with them. You move a few wires, and there's usually very detailed instructions around how to do that with the kit, with the soft start kit. And so, you're really not changing anything per se with the AC unit itself. You're actually improving it for all intents and purposes. But yeah, it may very well void the manufacturer's warranty. I would check on that before I did it if I was worried about my warranty. Eddie Lee um, asked this, and there was a question that came up on the Newmar forum just a couple of days ago from a fellow who has a 99 Dutch Star who wanted to add a slide. And he asks, has anyone added a slide out to their RV? Upgrading to an RV with one just are not in the works. Okay, totally get you. Thinks of ramping my Keystone to the way I like it, just testing the waters. Here's the thing about adding a slide. The way the structure of the RV is engineered and manufactured is to support that slide. Okay? Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, but you're going to have to beef up the structure around the hole you cut in the side of that RV to support the weight of that slide. Okay? And so and I would be very hesitant. I mean, it could definitely be done, and but I think I would find somebody with some good engineering smarts, particularly around how much to beef up that structure around the hole you have to cut for the slide, and then also how much to beef the floor up because you're going to have to support and reinforce the floor. Um, but yeah, I think you could totally you can add a slide to anything. But again, just keep in mind that when those slides are installed at the factory, the opening is engineered specifically to provide enough support for that slide and the wall, the remaining wall of the RV. So those are very important things that you don't want to overlook before you go cutting into the wall of your RV and putting a slide in. I hope that helped, Eddie. Timothy Norman reports back, yeah, I switched to OxyClean and love it. Yeah, it works. It works beautiful, doesn't it, Eddie? It's amazing stuff. And Aaron writes back, Home Depot trip later today. Borax and Dawn should be great. Thanks again. You're very welcome, Aaron. Thank you so much for watching and commenting on this live stream tonight. I do greatly appreciate it. By the way, if you're just in, be sure and drop us a comment over in the chat window. Let us know where you're watching from. Of course, if you have any questions, be sure and ask them. There are no dumb questions. This is a safe zone. Nobody will ridicule you or make fun of you. And if they do, Aaron has my permission to moderate him out of here, or I'll do it myself. Driftfox, hey, thank you. You're welcome. He's watching in his 2000 Itasca now near the New River Gorge National Park in West Virginia. Always enjoy watching your videos. Thank you so much, Drift Fox. You know, I was in West Virginia. Oh my gosh, this would have been in 2012. And I found the state lovely. I mean, you know, it's hot and muggy like it is here in Arkansas in the summer. But yeah, I think West Virginia was just, it was amazing. I really like that state. Seth Lemons comes in and says, love the geo method. You're very welcome, Seth. It works. Um, it works amazing. Seth says, I call it Boraxo now. Dollar General most always has Borax. Oh, that's good to know. The Borax. That's good to know that Dollar General has it as well, because those Dollar Generals are everywhere. Every little town around along the road here between my dad's house in Harrison, Arkansas, where I go to see him over at the rehab hospital, where he's learning to walk again. I can think of three Dollar Generals within 15 minutes of me. So they're out there, and they usually have pretty decent pricing as well, I've noticed. Oh, Aaron has a question. You know, Aaron, I like the positive vent, the little Venturi-looking vent from Camco. Um, they're designed to point themselves into the wind, and so and what that does is it creates a little vacuum, and it sucks air through the vent and out, and it's a more positive venting system. And Camco makes them. They kind of look like a torpedo. You being an old Navy guy, you'll know what that means. What and then they have a fin on it that points it into the wind. And so those are the ones that I use on my rig, and I love them. I think they're great. Um, there's some that are out there. I got into a rather lengthy discussion. This has been a couple years ago with a fellow on the Geomethod video that I published. You know, about vents and solar vents and those sorts of things. And you know, solar only works when the sun's shining. And the Venturi type vents, the ones that point themselves in the wind, only work when the wind blows. But um, at least the problem I've had, usually the only time I ever really have any smells in my RV from my holding tanks is when I'm rolling down the road. And once I put those vents on, boom. I'm sure they're in my Amazon store in the handy items for RV owners tab. Um, if you'd like to support the channel. You're welcome, Eddie. Thank you. And Seth is at Lake Spively, Georgia. Yeah, you know about humidity if you're in Georgia right now. I remember being in Georgia. This had been on my birthday, probably 15 years ago or something like that, which is in June. And I was in Columbus, Georgia, and we were down there setting up a project office. And it was 96 degrees and it was foggy. It was so humid. It was foggy outside. Oh, Crossville, Tennessee, another nice place. I really like Tennessee as well. Yeah, I've enjoyed every time I've been in Tennessee. I've stayed in a number of places. That whole area down there, up on the Blue Ridge Parkway, up in North Carolina and Virginia, that whole part of Appalachians is just amazing country down there. I really do like that area. Mick the dog. Want to do something really fun? Go to a AAA baseball game in Charleston, West Virginia. Really cheap to get in, but they have this guy called the Toast Man. He heckles the other team. Yeah, I love AAA or AA baseball. The town I grew up in, Idaho Falls, up in Idaho, has had AAA baseball, AA baseball, no AAA, for, oh gosh, since I was a kid. I remember going over and shagging home runs and shagging foul balls and that kind of stuff when I was young. And I just love baseball is the one sport I do appreciate and do watch occasionally. When I lived in Denver, I only lived 10 blocks from Coors Field where the Rockies played, and learned early on that you could go buy an $8 cheap seat, and then about halfway through the game, you could usually work your way over into some decent seats. That also works at Anaheim for the Angels, the Los Angeles Angels. I used to have to travel to Anaheim a lot for work, and I used to stay right down there on what the name of the road that escapes me, but I could catch the Disneyland bus, which was free, to Angel Stadium, and then go buy an $8 ticket or a $5 ticket to Angel Stadium. And then because everybody wants to beat the traffic in California, they'd all leave before the seventh inning, and then you could pretty much go move yourself up. And there was more than one time I would be on the third baseline, maybe 10 rows up, watching an Angels game. And yeah, I love going to see baseball. Worth the price of admission. Yeah, that makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? Tom, normally I live in Idaho. Normally I'm in eastern Idaho, Pocatello. But I love Washington as well. Washington is beautiful, except, well, I guess Washington isn't burning up as bad as they did last year, but sure, Oregon is sure on fire, aren't they? Okay, so Brenda Yankowski says, you may laugh, I might, but I don't know. We turned house water off for our 8 months camping in the south. Upon our return, the bathroom drain was very slow. We tried a lot, then used Borax with boiling water, and it opened right up, didn't it? I had another a lady that watches the stream. She's not on tonight, but she had asked me a question earlier. It was either late last week or early this week. She was having trouble with her kitchen sink and her RV not draining properly, and I told her to get some boiling water and baking soda and dump it down, and boom, it opened right up for her. So boiling water is usually pretty good. But I'll tell you what, the yeah, I'm sure if you were gone 8 months, that all your P traps were dry as well, which will really cause, that can cause some issues too, because then all of the hair and soap scum and everything that gets in that drain can get really hard and crusty and really slow things down. So that boiling water is really effective at blasting that out of there. Mick the dog says, I live in Fort Wayne. We have the Tin Caps AAA, go a few times a year. Really nice park and fun to go to. Yeah, AAA ball is really fun, for sure. Yeah, Brenda says that. Let it sit for hours, and voila, it worked. Uh, yeah, big fire this year, no smoke here. Yeah, I'm. I watched the air quality, and it's actually cleared up, but it was pretty bad for a couple days there in Pocatello. AQI was up around 115, which is getting way up into that unhealthy region. But it was down to 64 this morning, and I watched the local news there. I streamed it online, and of course the weather guy was showing the beautiful clear blue skies. But yeah, that fire in Oregon, man, it's sure been raising heck with a lot of folks, especially there in Oregon, and then Northern California is burning up again as well. Where are we at here? Oh wow, I've rambled on for an hour. I didn't even know it. So usually I run these for an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. If there's any other questions, people can throw your questions out in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. You can submit your questions online. You can email them to me, put them on Facebook. Over on my Facebook page, there's links to my Facebook page there in the description for this video. There's also a link to my website where you can go and submit a question through my website, but I get them all I accumulate them and then I come back and answer them during the live stream if at all possible. Oh, well, thank you so much, Brenda. She says that they used my Amazon link to order Proper Cell and CRC. Thank you very much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. John Carter asks, what is the best way to find an RV repairman out of state? I live in Huntsville and rent as far as Washington State. Well, that is a really good question. I've had hit and miss luck with calling and finding RV repair people. I did need an RV repair guy to replace an awning that got ripped off in the wind a couple of years ago. And I struggled, and this was in Tucson, and I struggled to find an RV repair guy. Um, I think mostly because an awning is like a 2 or 3 person job to replace. And I ended up going to Merrigan's Roadrunner in Tucson to get it replaced. I took my rig over there and they put it on in about 6 hours. But I would start with a Google search in the area that you are, and then I would look very carefully at the reviews, okay, and find the guys that have good reviews. You can go to the owners forums over on IRV2. Aaron posted a link to that earlier, to the owners forums, and ask in the owners forums. If you're in a particular area, you just post a comment or a question. I'm in, Timbuktu and I need an RV repair guy. Can anybody help me out? And that would be a way that I would do it. And then also you might try, depending upon the age of your rig, you might also reach out to your manufacturer and ask them for a repair guy in the area you're in. But I think first I would start with Google, and then I would very carefully review any, I would carefully read any reviews that have been written for that company. I place a lot of stock in the reviews on Google, um, you know, so I think that's how I would start. And then after that, you might call local RV sales organizations or the dealer for, let's say you have a Jayco, and you might call the Jayco dealer locally if you can't get to the dealership and ask them for a good mobile repair guy, and oftentimes they'll be able to help you out. So that would be a good way to find a repair guy if you're in a location, and that would work nationwide with no problems at all. Tom Downey's bragging that it was 43 degrees this morning. There. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, Camping World is sure hit and miss. Really inconsistent. Some are good, others are not so good. I don't want to knock Camping World too much. I My biggest complaint with Camping World is their parts are so damn expensive. I remember 2 years ago, um, might have been three now. You know how time flies. I needed a vacuum breaker for my toilet. I was just getting ready to leave to come here for Christmas, to Arkansas for Christmas, and my vacuum breaker started leaking. And of course, I got online, and as soon as I could get one online was 5 or 6 days. And I wanted to be able to use my toilet, not have to walk to the toilet in the RV park for more, for convenience. And so I ended up going over to Camping World in Tucson there, and the vacuum breaker, this little piece of plastic with a couple of hose clamps, was like 40 bucks, 45 bucks, something like that, when I could have bought online for 18 or $20. But when you need something now, you got to pay for it, and so Camping World had it on the shelf there in Tucson. So I don't want to knock Camping World. They've been, they're hit and miss. They're good and bad, and they're around. The other thing I've noticed about, well, any RV repair shop is the long waits that they're experiencing right now. 6 to 8 weeks is not uncommon to wait for an appointment to get in to get your RV fixed at a repair shop right now. Thank you, Eddie. That's great. Here's another resource. You can just ask a question right here. And there's Eddie mentioning that this guy over in Washington, you know, seems to like him. And so that's a good one. Aaron posted the irv2.com forums link again. That's such a valuable thing over there at IRV2. You're welcome, John, anytime. Mick the dog. Exactly. Camping extortion world. I love it. That's an awesome one. Oh, okay. Tom Downey says, just saying, I work on stuff too. That's what I do. Yeah. So there's another option for you. All right, we're getting close to we're a little over an hour here. Okay, the will last call for questions for tonight's live stream. Well, not hearing too many, I want to say thank you for joining me this evening. I do greatly appreciate you coming um, and participating. Uh, I appreciate Aaron, the moderator. Guy does a great job. He doesn't get paid. He just does it out of the goodness of his heart, and he's a good man. I do invite you to go over and check out his channel, Three Tails RV. I think I just saw him post a link. Yep, he did. And go over and subscribe to his channel. He has a ton of RV how-to videos over on his channel as well. And, spread the love. Go over there and check him out. Tom Downey says, I'm waiting 2 months now. There you go. That's exactly what I was saying. Thanks, Mick the dog. I appreciate you. Tom Downey, see you. Eddie Lee, good night. Thank you, Eddie, for being in. Everybody else, thanks for those thumbs up. Do appreciate that. Don't forget to visit my website at trbolin.com. Support us on Amazon. The link in the description below. Subscribe, like, do all those social things. But we're going to call this one good. Thanks so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Until we get together next week, peace. Bye-bye. Thanks, Michigan Dave, Dirt Fox, Mick the dog. He says, I fixed enough stuff on mine. I'm starting to feel qualified. Yeah, that's how I got where I'm at. Okay, I got to go. Good night. See you guys.